My fiancée threw a no-phones bachelorette party in Miami. The next morning, her cousin sent me a video of her wearing a sash that said, "Last night of freedom, slow dancing with some guy in the middle of the Airbnb." Her friends kept commenting, "She's living her best life." Father, I didn't argue. I didn't even unpack. I just canceled the venue, called my boys, and flew to Vegas. 2 weeks later, her mom texted, "She hasn't left her room since you called off the wedding." I'm Victor, 28, and I thought I knew Anya better than anyone. We'd been together for 4 years, engaged for 8 months. She was the kind of girl who made you believe in fairy tales, dark hair, green eyes, and this laugh that could light up a room. Her family immigrated from Ukraine when she was 12, and she still had that slight accent that made everything she said sound more interesting. The wedding was supposed to be next month. Everything was paid for, locked in. The venue alone cost me 15 grand, but I didn't care. Anya was worth every penny, or so I thought. When she announced the Miami bachelorette party, I was actually happy for her. "No phones," she said, twirling around our apartment in excitement. "Just us girls, completely disconnected. Pure fun." She kissed my cheek. "Trust me, baby. It'll be perfect." I should have known something was off when her cousin Katya wasn't invited. Katya and Anya had been close since childhood, but apparently she didn't fit the vibe Anya's maid of honor was going for. The maid of honor, by the way, was this girl named Svetlana who I'd never trusted. She had this way of looking at me like I wasn't good enough for Anya, always making little comments about how Anya could do better or how she was settling down too young. The night before they left, Anya was packing, and I noticed she'd bought new lingerie. When I asked about it, she laughed it off. "It's for the photos, Victor. Instagram moments, you know?" But something in her voice didn't sit right. They flew out Thursday morning. The plan was they'd be back Sunday evening, and we'd spend the week before the wedding together, just relaxing and finalizing last-minute details. I trusted her completely. That was my first mistake. Friday night, I was at home watching soccer with my buddy Pavel when my phone buzzed. Message from Katya: "Victor, we need to talk." My blood went cold. Katya never contacted me directly unless something was seriously wrong. "Can you call me?" She followed up. I stepped outside and dialed her number. "Victor," she said, and I could hear she'd been crying. "I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry." "What happened? Is Anya okay?" She's fine. Physically. But Victor, I have to show you something. My friend Mila is in Miami right now, and she was at the same club as Anya's group last night." My hands started shaking. "What are you talking about?" "Check your DMs. I'm sending you something." "But Victor, maybe you should sit down first." I went back inside, heart pounding. Pavel took one look at my face and muted the TV. The video was only 30 seconds long, but it destroyed my entire world. There was Anya, wearing a white sash that read "Last Night of Freedom," slow dancing with some guy in what looked like the living room of their Airbnb. Not just dancing, grinding against him, her hands in his hair, his hands on the unknown lands. She was laughing, throwing her head back, completely lost in the moment. The worst part wasn't even the dancing. It was her friends in the background, cheering her on. Svetlana's voice was clear as day: "Get it, girl. Live your best life. Another friend, last night of freedom, baby." And Anya, my Anya, looking directly at the camera with this wild smile and shouting, "What happens in Miami stays in Miami." I watched it 3 times before Pavel gently took my phone away. "Bro," he said quietly. "I'm so sorry." I couldn't speak. 4 years. 4 years of building a life together, planning our future, talking about kids and growing old together. And this is how she celebrated our upcoming marriage? My phone kept buzzing. More messages from Katya. "There's more." Mila said they went to 3 different clubs. Anya was all over different guys all night. The girls kept posting on their private stories. They thought no phones meant no consequences. "Victor, I'm so sorry. She's my cousin but your family too. You deserve to know." I called my brother Dmitry. He lived across town but was there in 20 minutes, took one look at me, and just nodded. "What do you need?" "I need to cancel a wedding." The next morning, I started making calls. The venue, the catering, the photographer, the DJ. Some were understanding, others demanded payment anyway. I didn't care about the money. What's 15,000 compared to a lifetime of wondering if your wife is cheating every time she goes out with friends? I called the airline and moved my flight to Vegas up by 2 weeks. Pavel, Dmitry, and our friend Alexei cleared their schedules immediately. Bachelor party turned liberation celebration, Pavel called it. The hardest call was to my parents. My mom cried. My dad, who'd always been suspicious of Anya anyway, just said, "Son, you dodged a bullet. Better to find out now than after." I didn't pack much. Just threw some clothes in a bag, grabbed my passport, and left. I couldn't stand being in our apartment, surrounded by wedding invitations and her stuff everywhere. The whole time, my phone stayed silent. No calls, no texts from Anya. Her no phones rule was apparently holding strong. Vegas was exactly what I needed. We got a suite at the Bellagio, and for 4 days, I tried to forget everything. We gambled, saw shows, ate at expensive restaurants. My boys never left my side, never made me feel pathetic or broken. They just let me process everything at my own pace. It was Tuesday night when Anya finally called. I was sitting at a blackjack table, 3 drinks in, when her name popped up on my screen. My friends went quiet. "Answer it," Dimitri said. "But put it on speaker." "Victor?" Her voice was small, confused. "Baby, what's going on? I just got back and Mrs. Henderson from the venue called saying you canceled everything? This has to be some mistake." I motioned for my friends to stay quiet. "No mistake, Anya." "What? Victor, I don't understand. What happened? Did someone die? Is your family okay?" The audacity was breathtaking. She genuinely thought she could come home and pick up where we left off. "Your cousin Katya sends her regards," I said calmly. The silence stretched for about 10 seconds. Then, "Victor, I can explain." "Explain what?" "How you spent your bachelorette party grinding on random guys. How your friends cheered you on while you disrespected our entire relationship. How you wore a sash celebrating your last night of freedom like being engaged to me was some kind of prison sentence. It wasn't like that." Her voice cracked. "Victor, please, it was just dancing. I was drunk, and the girls were being crazy, and you loved every second of it. I saw the video, Anya. I saw your face. You weren't some victim being peer pressured. You were having the time of your life. Please come home. Please. We can work through this. I love you. If you loved me, you wouldn't have needed a last night of freedom." I hung up and turned off my phone. She called 17 more times that night. Left 12 voicemails. I deleted them all without listening. We stayed in Vegas for the rest of the week. By the time I flew back home, I'd made peace with my decision. Pavel helped me pack up Anya's stuff while she was at work. We left the boxes by the door with a note: "Your things. Keys under the mat. Don't contact me again." That should have been the end of it. Sometimes the universe has other plans. 2 weeks later, I was at my new apartment, a smaller place across town, but it was mine and only mine, when I got a text from Anya's mom, Elena. Elena had always liked me. She'd immigrated with Anya and her dad when Anya was young, worked 2 jobs to support the family, and always treated me like a son. The text was simple: "She hasn't left her room since you called off the wedding." I stared at the message for a long time. Part of me, the part that had loved Anya for 4 years, wanted to feel sorry for her. But the bigger part, the part that had watched that video of her betraying everything we'd built together, felt nothing but cold satisfaction. I didn't respond to Elena's text. But over the next few days, more information trickled in through mutual friends. Apparently, Anya had quit her job, stopped eating, and was basically living like a hermit. Her friends, the same ones who'd cheered on her last night of freedom, were now nowhere to be found. Svetlana, especially, had gone completely silent, apparently realizing that her role in encouraging Anya's behavior had real consequences. My friend Marcus, who worked with Anya's roommate, told me the whole story. After I hung up on her that night, Anya had a complete breakdown. She'd spent hours trying to reach me, then started calling everyone we knew, trying to get someone to convince me to take her back. When that didn't work, she'd shown up at my old apartment at 2 a.m., banging on the door until the neighbors complained. She kept saying it was all a mistake, Marcus told me. That she didn't mean any of it, that she was just caught up in the moment. But dude, from what I heard, she was posting about it on social media before they even left Miami. This wasn't some spur-of-the-moment thing. That detail hit me hard. She'd been posting about it, proud of it, until she realized there were consequences. 3 weeks after the cancelled wedding, I ran into Katya at the grocery store. She looked exhausted. "Victor," she said, clearly uncomfortable. "How are you holding up?" "I'm good, Katya." "Really? Thank you for telling me the truth." She nodded, but looked troubled. She's not doing well. Elena's worried about her." "That's not my problem anymore." "I know. And I'm not asking you to fix it. I just thought you should know that she really is destroyed by this. She keeps saying she made the biggest mistake of her life." I shrugged. "She did. The thing is," Katya continued, "she's telling everyone that it was just dancing, that nothing else happened. But Victor, Mila told me there was more to that night. A lot more." My stomach dropped. "What do you mean?" "The video I sent you was from early in the evening. After the clubs closed, they went back to the Airbnb with a bunch of guys. Mila left, but she heard from other people that she trailed off." "That what, Katya?" "That Anya didn't spend the night alone." The pieces clicked into place. The new lingerie. The what happens in Miami stays in Miami attitude. The way she'd look so comfortable, so natural with that guy in the video. "Thank you for telling me," I said quietly. "Victor, I'm sorry. I know this makes it worse, but I thought you deserved to know the whole truth." I nodded and walked away. By the time I got to my car, I wasn't angry anymore. I was relieved. Every doubt I'd had about my decision vanished. I dodged a bullet the size of a cruise missile. That evening, Elena texted me again, "Please, Victor. Just talk to her. 5 minutes. She's not the same person." This time, I responded, "She showed me exactly who she is. I believe her." Elena didn't text back. I found out later that Anya had started therapy and was apparently working on herself. Good for her, I guess. Growth is important. But some bridges, once burned, can't be rebuilt. 6 months later, I was doing great. New apartment, new routine, new perspective on life. I'd started dating again, nothing serious, just enjoying my freedom without the constant anxiety of wondering if my partner was faithful. Pavel called me one evening with news. Guess who's engaged? Who? Svetlana. To some guy she met on a dating app 3 months ago. I laughed. Good for her. Hope he knows what he's getting into. Here's the kicker, Anya's the maid of honor. Of course she is. Word is, she's been telling people that her experience with you taught her what not to do in relationships. That she's learned from her mistakes and is ready to be a better friend to couples. The irony was perfect. Anya, who destroyed her own relationship with her last night of freedom mentality, was now the person giving relationship advice at bachelorette parties. A year later, I married someone else. Her name is Irina, she's a pediatric nurse, and she thinks bachelorette parties should be about celebrating love, not escaping from it. When her friends suggested a wild weekend in Miami for her bachelorette party, she chose a wine tasting in Napa instead. I don't need a last night of freedom, she told me. I'm not losing my freedom. I'm gaining a partner. That's when I knew I'd made the right choice walking away from Anya. I heard through the grapevine that Anya eventually got better, started dating again, and moved to another city for a fresh start. I genuinely hope she found happiness. But I also hope she learned that actions have consequences, and that what happens in Miami doesn't actually stay in Miami when you're planning to marry someone who deserves your loyalty. As for me, I learned that sometimes the worst thing that happens to you is actually the best thing that could have happened. That video destroyed my world for about a week, but it saved me from a lifetime of wondering if the person sleeping next to me actually wanted to be there. Trust, once broken, is almost impossible to rebuild. But self-respect, once found, is something you never want to lose again. Sometimes the trash takes itself out. You just have to be smart enough not to chase after it. But this story doesn't end there. 3 years after my wedding to Irina, I was promoted to senior project manager at my engineering firm. The promotion came with a significant raise and the opportunity to work on high-profile commercial developments across the state. Life was good, really good. That's when I ran into an old college friend, Marcus, at a conference. We were catching up over drinks when he mentioned something interesting. Remember that girl you were engaged to? Anya? I nodded, curious where this was going. My sister hired her for her bachelorette party last year. Some kind of party planning business she runs with another girl. How did that go? Marcus made a face. Not great. They planned this whole Miami trip, but it was intense. My sister came back feeling terrible about some of the stuff that happened. She ended up calling off her engagement. I felt a chill. What do you mean? Apparently these planners have a whole philosophy about exploring your freedom before marriage. They actively encourage the brides to. Well, let's just say they push boundaries. My sister said they made her feel like she'd be missing out if she didn't act single for the weekend. The cosmic irony wasn't lost on me. Anya had turned her own destructive behavior into a business model, helping other women make the same mistakes she'd made. I'm sorry about your sister, I said. She's doing better now. Actually met someone new who appreciates her honesty about what happened. But yeah, that business has a pretty bad reputation around town now. Word gets around. I didn't ask for more details, but Marcus's story confirmed what I'd always suspected. Anya hadn't learned from our breakup. If anything, she'd normalized the behavior that destroyed our relationship. A few months later, Pavel mentioned he'd heard the party planning business had shut down. Bad reviews, apparently. Turns out encouraging infidelity isn't a sustainable business model. What's Anya doing now? I asked, more out of idle curiosity than genuine concern. Last I heard, she moved somewhere out west. Fresh start, I guess. That was the last time anyone mentioned Anya to me for a long while, and I was grateful for the silence. About a year later, I was at a networking event when I unexpectedly ran into Elena, Anya's mother. She looked older, more tired, but managed a genuine smile when she saw me. Victor, she said warmly. You look well. Happy. Thank you, Elena. How are you doing? Her smile faltered slightly. I'm managing. I heard you got married. I did. Irina's wonderful. I'm glad. You deserve happiness. She paused, seeming to wrestle with her words. Victor, I owe you an apology. You don't owe me anything. I do. When everything happened with Anya, I thought you were being too harsh. I should have understood that you made the right choice, Elena sighed. She's had a hard time finding her way since then. I keep hoping she'll learn from her mistakes, but... She trailed off, and I could see the pain in her eyes. As a mother, she loved Anya unconditionally, but she also couldn't ignore the pattern of poor choices. I hope things work out for her, I said, and I meant it. Thank you for saying that. And Victor? I'm sorry it took me so long to understand. The conversation stayed with me for days. Elena's words were a reminder that my decision to walk away had been vindicated not by Anya's failures, but by my own growth and happiness. That was essentially the last I heard about Anya directly. Over the years, there were occasional mentions through mutual acquaintances. She'd moved to California, was working in marketing, seemed to be doing better. I was genuinely glad to hear it. People can change, and I hoped she had found some peace and learned from her experiences. The real story, though, was my own life. Irina and I celebrated our 5th wedding anniversary last month with a quiet weekend in Vermont. As we sat on the porch of our bed and breakfast, watching the sunset, she asked me something she'd never asked before. Do you ever wonder what would have happened if you hadn't found out about Miami? I thought about it seriously. I would have married her. We probably would have had kids. And eventually, she would have cheated again, because that's who she is. The only difference is that I would have wasted years of my life before finding out. Do you think she ever thinks about you? Probably. But not in the way you'd expect. I think she thinks about me as the person who ruined her life by holding her accountable for her actions. That's sad. It is. But it's also not my problem. We sat in comfortable silence for a while, and I realized something profound. I wasn't angry anymore. I wasn't vindicated or bitter or satisfied by Anya's continued failures. I was simply grateful. Grateful that her cousin had shown me the truth. Grateful that I'd had the strength to walk away. Grateful that I'd learned the difference between love and self-respect. And most of all, grateful that I'd found someone who understood that true freedom comes not from avoiding commitment, but from choosing the right person to commit to. Now I know better. And so does Irina, who chose me not despite my past but because of how I handled it. She tells people that my reaction to betrayal showed her exactly the kind of man she wanted to marry, someone who respects himself enough to walk away from what doesn't serve him, and wise enough not to waste time trying to fix what was never meant to work. That's the real victory. Not that someone else's life fell apart, but that mine became everything I never knew I wanted. Sometimes the worst thing that happens to you really is the best thing that could have happened. You just have to be brave enough to let it be.